Good morning. This is Heidi Ellsworth, and I am here with Shelly Duhaime with NFP, and we are going to go over some roofing influencer topics today because Shelly is one of our RCS influencers. So before we get started, Shelly, can you tell us a little bit about you and what you've done in the roofing industry? Can you tell us about your history?
Sure. I've been serving roofing contractors now for about 20 years in the role of risk management and alternative risk financing. I have represented roofing contractors all over the country with exposures in about every state, from workers' compensation through difficult construction defect jurisdictions. New York and California. I've seen it all, I think.
And you are with NFP, which is a new advertiser on the coffee shop. Can you tell us a little bit about that company?
Yeah, so NFP is in the top 10 insurance brokerages in the country. We have a very large percentage of our businesses in the benefit space. We do benefits the best. We are expanding and growing in the P&C side of the business, the property and casualty side of the business, by hiring very good intellectual property to kind of lead that practice. I lead the captive insurance practice for NFP. And it is just truly a great organization. The culture, our leadership, it is, and I've worked for quite a few brokerages over my time, and it truly is a people first culture.
That's great. They're lucky to have you, Shelly. This is good.
I'm lucky to have them too. It's a great relationship.
That is awesome. Okay, so today we're going to talk about some influencer topics. And so the first one that we would like to kind of visit about, bring your special expertise to, was our March influencer topic. What are you doing with your local, regional, and national associations to work on governmental issues and regulations? If you're not doing anything, what do you think contractors should be doing? So this is really, Shelly, today I would really love to have you share how is the government really affecting contractors and insurance right now? What's happening on that? I know you and I had talked a little bit, but there's between the tax changes and everything else, there's a lot affecting the contractors. I'd like to kind of get some of your insights.
Well, I think, one of the biggest issues for contractors really across the board, whether it's a roofing contractor or an excavation contractor, truly is labor. I think we've been talking about labor for 15 years. I think labor is one of the reasons that National Women in Roofing got its roots, was really just to say, hey, there's some women out here in this business, and this business needs more people. So let's create something that really targets something near and dear to us, which is women in the construction space. So labor and what the government chooses to do with labor, and it's no surprise that a lot of the labor comes, from some of our other countries that come to this country. So how is that going to be handled? That's a big part of it. I think you should really know what's going on and be in touch with your legislators on that area. In fact, when I was in Austin this month, I met with 2 different senators at the Capitol that were working on labor issues. We didn't have a deep discussion. I just got to meet them, shake hands, and it was a great experience. And I think everybody should go to their Capitol and see what it's like when Senate's in session, or when things are going on, just to see how it operates is pretty fascinating. How it's impacted insurance and captive specifically is the change in the way foreign companies are taxed, and the BEAT tax, as it's referred to, has kind of changed that landscape. And it's changed it in such a way that United States, a lot of the domiciles here in the States are offering tax holidays to people that are in captives that are offshore, meaning, hey, if you want to repatriate to the United States, we're going to forgo taxes, premium taxes, because they see it as an opportunity to capture business. And the feeling is that those beat taxes, those additional taxes that are being charged, are not going to go down. They're only going to go up. So when you think about the way that captive domiciles are divided between the U.S. and offshore, 10, 15 years ago, Bermuda, the Caymans, all of those places, we maybe had 30% or 35% of the business, and the bulk of it was offshore. Now it's really flipping the other way. It's good for our economy. I'm glad that it's happening myself, because I think we should support our own country first. I'm sort of that way. And that has created some opportunities for building more programs that are here in the States and support contracting.
I think this is just so interesting. And so for our audience, can you talk a little bit about what is a captive for those who maybe do not know?
Okay, we probably should have started with that, but
yes, okay, I'll flip it around.
A captive is really it's owning your own insurance company. So when you decide to go with a captive as your alternative risk financing, you're basically starting your own insurance company. You can do that as an individual company, pure captive, or you can do it as a part of a group captive. And basically what you're doing is you're paying your premium as you do today. If you're in a guaranteed cost program, you pay your premium in as a guaranteed cost, and then you're basically putting your premium in buckets. There's a bucket to pay your losses, and there's a bucket to run the insurance company that has all the expenses in it. And you earn investment income on your bucket that's waiting to pay claims until you actually pay claims. And so even if you have a reserve on the books for a back injury or a shoulder, until the insurance company cuts that check, you're going to get investment income on that money. So it gives you the opportunity to keep the underwriting profits for yourself, and earn some investment income on those underwriting profits.
And there are a large number of roofing contractors who belong to captives and have put and with other roofing contractors, right?
Yes, there are. And, if you look back in insurance and roofing insurance history, there was a time when carriers were really running away from residential business, say in 2004, when the bulk of construction defect claims just got out of control, and insurance companies were putting up $75,000 reserves every time one came in the door. And the market really narrowed and really closed up. And so when one of the biggest markets kind of shut its door on anybody who had any kind of residential, a group of industry leaders contacted us and said, hey, we want some alternatives for what we're facing in the marketplace. And at that point, we said, hey, captive option is the best option for you. You can control your availability to get coverage and the predictability of the cost of coverage, which I think is equally as important to a contractor, because he's bidding jobs today based on his cost today that he might not start until tomorrow, and maybe his insurance costs have gone up. So now the minimal margin that contractors enjoy is shrunk even further.
And this is really we're kind of moving into our next topic of as young people are starting their own businesses. But before we get there, just so that everyone understands, what exactly exactly which insurances do these cover? Is it everything, medical, risk, car? I know I'm but I think for a lot of people, what kind of insurance does this cover?
So the group captives that are out there right now, and I would say there's probably 300 plus roofing contractors in some sort of group roofing captive. Most of those are workers' comp, general liability, and auto insurance, and then they're buying the rest of their coverages kind of on a group buy. So anything that's not in the captive is purchased on a standalone policy, because you want to kind of protect the money in the captive because now it's your money. So you want to really manage the bigger part of the business in there. There are, and we have and are working on programs that help with health benefit plans, deductibles, things like that. But for what we're talking about today, as far as looking at the mass of roofing contractors that have turned to captives as a solution for managing their risk, those captive programs, consist of workers' comp, general liability, and auto insurance.
Perfect. That's great. Sometimes I think this is one of those topics that it gets confusing for people, and it's a little scary. So you need to kind of know someone like you who gets it and gets the big picture. And so kind of moving in that direction, if we're talking about, I don't know, maybe somebody who's worked for a company for a number of years and wants to start their own roofing business, or maybe it's a young person coming out of college who sees the opportunities. What is your one piece of advice for that new contractor that's starting a business?
I think any person that wants to own a roofing company should buy an existing company. I think that there are a lot of really good roofing contractors out there that have been in business, have good reputations, but don't have succession plans. And I think they have established client base. Usually they know the competition quite well. All of those things you could also transition with some of the key people within that roofing company. So if I were saying to my own son who said, "Hey mom, I want to be in the roofing contracting business," I would say, find a way to buy an existing company.
And tell us a little bit too, because I can just kind of hear some of the thoughts out there like, well, isn't it easier just to get a pickup truck and some tools and start my own business? But maybe share some of the barriers when it comes to insurance and getting insurance and all of those things. If they decide to go a different direction than than either buying or becoming part of an established business already.
Well, I think it goes back to the main issue in construction, and that is labor. And you have to have, more and more, you're going to have better benefit packages to acquire, retain, and keep good labor, not only labor, but leaders, your estimators, your foremen, the people running the jobs, your safety people. That part of the business is going to become more and more important to maintain and more costly to maintain, and the ability to get people is going to be very difficult. So if you're starting off with one truck and one ladder, then it's going to be very hard for you to expand your business to do any more than what you could do with one truck and one ladder and a couple of people that help you. You're not going to get the big commercial work, and insurance requirements all the way down the line from an industry standpoint. Everybody is very, very savvy in what should be, in contracts. Mostly all brokerages, do contract review now. Everybody's got somebody looking at their contracts. And, you need to be able to understand when you sign that contract, you are making a financial commitment to whatever the insurance terms are in that contract. And you have to be able to secure those coverages as required by contract. So, when you start to piece all of those parts together, the fact that you're going, even from today, benefit plans are going to get more robust because that's going to be the only way to keep and maintain people. We all know it's very difficult to get people to come into the construction industry. And we are all in the construction space doing all things that we can to recruit people into the industry. And we do the same thing in insurance. We have kind of a parallel obstacle there. So if you imagine you've got an established roofing company that maybe has 75 people, they've got a good client list, they've had somebody running the company that's been a very good operator, can serve as a mentor, give you guidance. I think that's the best route to success. And I think there's a lot of opportunity out there. I talk to roofing contractors all the time, and a lot of them are concerned about what is their succession plan going to be.
I think that there is just if we even look at society in the United States, the baby boomers, there's a lot of people retiring every single day, and the number of those are roofing contractors who are looking for a succession plan. So that's great advice. So let's talk just real quick, kind of on our upcoming topic is really on what should every roofing contractor, what are some of the things they should be educating their employees on? And I would like to kind of go back and, get some of your advice. Like, I think insurance, overall insurance, safety, all of those things can be hard topics and maybe hard to explain. So maybe some of your thoughts, your advice on how roofing contractors can better educate their employees to help the company overall with better risk and mod and all of the things that go along with getting good insurance rates.
Well, Heidi, I've worked with probably 75 of the largest roofing contractors in the country. And when it comes to education, you really have to think about who you're educating within your organization. So if you're talking to the laborer that gets up every day and goes and does the heavy lifting and slings a hammer, the way that you deliver safety to him and what he gives to the company is very different than what you deliver to an estimator or a project manager. If you're dealing with an estimator or a project manager, you're going to deliver the information in cost per payroll, or you're going to tie his safety results to his bonus in a very mathematical way. So that because he deals with numbers and he looks at things by the foot. And also he's usually working on some type of commission structure. And when you can show a production leader that, when they say, well, we don't have time for safety, or we didn't cover the skylights because we were being productive, and you can tie back to them, like, if we have $100,000 claim, we have to go out and sell $1 million project with a 10% margin and have nothing go wrong just to cover that claim. If you're talking to the guy that is slinging the hammer, you're talking to him in a much more physical, operational way to say, we're here to keep you safe. We're here to make sure that you go home to your family. And we have these rules that help us make sure that you get home every day. And so you do safety talks every day. I'm a big proponent of doing flex and stretch type plans before they even start their day. There's great studies out there that show if laborers just take some time to warm their bodies up, that you can reduce your soft tissue claims by 25-30%. So, these are why we have these rules, is kind of the approach with the person that's doing the labor work. And then you all the way up through management, you have a different way of delivering the same information.
Wow, I think I really like the way you put it too, Shelly, on we talk about safety, and safety is the number one priority in the industry. I think everyone knows that. But sometimes I don't know if leadership, or like you said, foremen, always tie that back to the financials. And so the way you presented that, really, now all of a sudden, obviously we want everybody to go home safe and sound, and now here's another reason why it's important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that. I think that's it's pretty impactful.
So a good education program really is obviously the safety education, but then also the education of the employees on how to take it to that. And that's what I want to say. Talk just a little bit more. I really love that idea of the flex and stretch and the actual numbers behind it. Are there other things that the employers or contractors can educate or implement in with their workforce that helps other programs, other items like that?
Well, I think, when we talk about safety, look, it wasn't that long ago that warning lines sort of became a thing of the past. I mean, mandatory fall protection, all the training that goes along with that. There's obvious reasons, why when you're working from height, you would, want to be harnessed in, which we would call an active system. The flex and stretch is important. The daily safety meetings are important. Having a good inspection program so that you are inspecting for safety continually. You have to have senior management involvement. There has to be a complete, concise program that is practical for all levels of the company. And there has to be, the most important thing is that there's accountability tied to that program. And so when you wrap all that around and you have accountability, then you can institute things like a flex and stretch program, because initially, everybody thinks it's a joke. I can tell you, when I was trying to roll this out in one of my captive programs 4 or 5 years ago, I mean, it became, I was the butt of the joke for the entire board meeting over my flex and stretch. And I finally sponsored this gentleman to come in and educate them about it. And before you knew it, 5 or 6 of them had him going out to their shops, and they started the program. So a lot of it is getting the foundation of what your safety, risk management, loss control, progressive disciplinary program is going to be. And that means progressive disciplinary program, meaning, you have some things that are zero tolerance, like someone on the roof without their fall protection goes home. And even if they're your best foreman, they have to go home. I mean, you have to enforce them. It's very important. But once you get that base and that thing established, and then you can start bringing in things like flex and stretch. You can do different types of incentive programs for safety. You just start to build the team in a way that's much different than some of the cultures that may be out there.
That is great. That is awesome. Well, thank you so much, Shelly. That you have really educated me this morning. I think this is outstanding, and we will talk again next month and about some more topics that are coming up, and we're really looking forward to all the educational pieces that will be coming from you and NFP concerning risk and insurance.
Thank you, Heidi. I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording. And I'm not sure if we'll use that as a podcast or not, but I think we might. That was really good.